Okay, I'm good. You good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hey everyone, welcome back. We are talking about the Week 9 recap here. 9 weeks in the bag. Getting there. A couple more weeks left in the regular season. I think 5 weeks, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 5 more weeks, I believe, of the regular season. Um,
That's nothing. Oh my god.
yeah, only 5 weeks. So, Chad, you were the high scorer this week. You had 142 points here. We were just talking about this, but really low scoring week all around. We had one, two, three, four teams under 100. That was Justin,
Five.
Ashley, Shannon. Oh, there was 5 teams. Oh, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because Kate, right? Kate won, but was under 100. So 5 teams under 100. There was 3 teams just over 100. So what's that? 8 teams. Just barely at or under or over 100. You were at the highest at 142. There was 3 of us right around 136, 137. So just all around, really, really low scoring week. Kind of a weird week in the league. Taking
Yeah.
a quick peek at the standings here, Shannon lost her second game. She had been on a real hot streak there. Um, now you are on a hot streak here. You've won 6 in a row. You are in second
Mm-hmm.
place. You've been in second place, so nothing really changed there. But you are now uh, you Shannon and I are all 7-2. We're kind of out in front of everybody else here. Um, kind of separating ourselves. So then we've got 4 teams at 5-4: Ashley, Scott, Melissa, and Jimmy. Jimmy won one this week. And then below that we've got Henry and Kate at 4-5. We've got Justin at 3-6, JT at 2-7, and then Chris remains winless at 0-9. I would say if he gets a win this season, that'll be like his goal, right? Get a win this season. He's
Yep.
obviously not going to make the playoffs at this point, but he could
I think it's
certainly,
impossible.
yeah, it's certainly impossible for him at this point. So interestingly enough, I was looking at this the other day. Kate's 4-5, which is pretty good because she has the second lowest points scored. She's only outscored Chris by about 65 points here, um, and they are the only 2 teams to not have cracked 1,000 points scored yet. So just to kind of give an idea of where they're at. But she's 4-5 despite the second lowest points scored. So I was thinking, well, maybe she's gotten lucky and hasn't had a ton of points scored against her. But no, she's actually number 1 in points scored against her, if you can believe that. So I think what's happened here, and I didn't go back and review the games, but the only way I feel like this could happen is in the weeks that she wins, right? it's a it's a low scoring affair, right? She's not scoring a ton of points, but the person playing against her isn't scoring a ton of points either, as we saw this week,
Yep.
right, where she won with 97. I mean, 97 would have lost to all but 3 other teams, right? So, but in the weeks where she loses, she gets blown out, um, which kind of creates this point discrepancy where she has a ton of points against, but very few points for, and she's only 3 wins behind first place. I mean, just think about it that way. Um, Kind of nuts, though. But anyways, okay, let's move on to our matchups here. Well, just start with me this week. Top of my list here. So I played Ashley. I beat her. Again, I don't think there's going to be a ton of people to talk about this week. There's just really a lot of low scoring guys. Jonathan Taylor was probably RB1 on the week if I had to guess,
No,
around the
James
league.
Conner was.
Oh, James Conner was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, is that in our scoring format? Because I'm curious. Who had
Maybe
James
not.
Conner? Be curious to see.
Justin did on his
Yeah,
bench.
he had 40 points. So in our
Okay,
scoring
so
format with
our
the
scoring matches.
bonuses, yeah, James Taylor, Jonathan Taylor outscored him by about 2 points there. But yeah, they were both pretty good. Uh, Pat Fryermuth had 21 points for me. I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, I really expected more out of Daryl Henderson in this game. But honestly, I didn't expect the Rams to lose in this game either. They were kind of getting blown out there.
Like, looked terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird game there.
Yeah.
So all around, um, you know, I feel like I need to start playing Carson Wentz. He just keeps having like consistently like 25 plus points or right around 25.
I'm
Like he
surprised
just
you didn't with him playing the Jets.
well, I figured they weren't going to need to use him. They would just run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, which they did. Um, but you know, I guess he still had some touchdowns in there as well. So all right, so looking at Ashley's side here, she had a rough week. Pretty much nobody did anything for her. George Kittle in his first week back had a great game though, 100 yards and a touchdown, so that was good to see. But she didn't have James Robinson, she didn't have Tom Brady, she didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. Zach Moss got hurt in this game. Chase Edmonds
Chase
got hurt in
Edmonds
this
did.
game. Like TJ Moore has just been really crappy lately. I guess just Sam Darnold's just back to Sam Darnold being bad.
You saw he's gonna be out for a couple weeks.
Oh, with concussion, right?
No, he injured his scapula.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't see that. I thought he got
Mm,
concussed though. Maybe that was last week.
that was
So is it
last week.
PJ Walker? Is he the one that's going to
Yep.
start? Okay. I don't know. That could actually be an upgrade. Um, certainly hard to be a downgrade at this point. But
Yeah.
anyways, probably no one really else to talk about in this matchup. She had Elijah Moore on her bench, but he blew up for 27 points. He had 2 touchdowns, but I don't think you could have played him honestly. Like it's hard to start a Jets wide receiver. His next best game this season was 13 points, so that would have been a tough start. Let's go ahead and talk about the Justin and Kate's matchup here. So we talked about this this was, I think, the lowest scoring matchup of the week here. Both teams finished under 100. Kate just squeaked out a win by about a point and a half here. Really nothing of consequence here. Looking at Justin's side, he had to start Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers being an idiot and having COVID. He did have, as we briefly talked about, James Conner on his bench. James Conner kind of went crazy in this game where Chase Edmonds got hurt on the first play. He's going to be a really good start going forward as Chase Edmonds is out. So until he gets hurt, because let us not forget that James Conner is made of paper.
Made of glass.
Yep. So he will get hurt, and they'll have to turn to their third string running back, who is
Something Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin. That's right. So he might be a decent waiver wire stash for when James Conner inevitably goes down, but we don't also know how long Edmonds is going to be gone. But it's going to be a couple weeks, I think. So like I said, nobody really went off for Justin here. Landry in a game without Odell, where they scored 41 points, only had 3 catches for 11 yards. Just this was kind of league in general, right? This week, just nobody blew up. Very few performances worth noting. So on Kate's side here, same thing, right? Travis Kelce was her best player of the day. Jalen Waddle had a decent game. Singletary, I think I said last week, if he couldn't score double digits in this game against Jacksonville, he's going to be very upset. Now, this was a weird game, too, where Buffalo lost against Jacksonville, 6-9.
Yeah.
Like, talk about, an upset, right? It's a real David and Goliath kind of situation there where David prevailed, and they pulled out the win over Buffalo. But, Devin Singletary just barely eked out the double digits. And that was also with Zach Moss getting a concussion and being out. So, kind of took everything for him to break that mark again. Devontae Booker's been pretty good in Saquon's absence, I got to say.
Been really good.
Yeah. Kenny Galladay was back in this game against Vegas on our bench down there. 2 catches for 28 yards.
As I expected.
Yeah, he's been really disappointing. He kind of lit the league on fire 2 years ago, and since then he's been hurt, he's been a dud, and that's pretty much all we need to say about old Kenny G there. So the rest of Kate's team, because he just struggled there, but she's still got some weapons. Saquon's probably going to come back next week. She won't have him this week, but week 11 she'll probably get him back. I'm not sure it's going to matter unless she can squeak out another win. I guess we'll talk about her matchup in the preview. I don't know who she's playing, but I guess we will find out. So let's go ahead and move on to the next matchup here. We got Henry against Shannon. In Shannon's second loss of the season after winning many straight. Again, another low-scoring game here, 105-98. A real crap fest on both sides. Keenan Allen had a great game here, probably his best of the season.
By far.
Yeah, best of the season so far, which makes sense because Justin Herbert had a pretty good game himself. So, Brian Edwards goosed him in a game where they lost Henry Ruggs. So, you almost can't start any of the receivers for Vegas except for, Waller, Renfro, and probably whoever the running back is, Kenyon Drake. And that's about it. And his bench really didn't do anything. Clyde's coming back soon, I think, which will be good for him. Kareem Hunt coming back probably in the next couple weeks. They have a late bye, so Godwin, he'll get him back off bye. Shannon's team, really, after putting up just really, really solid high points games, I mean, nobody did anything here. Dak had 2 touchdowns. Okay. Debo, Devontae Adams, Austin Eckler, Mark Andrews, just disappointment down the board, right? If you had any of these guys. These are all big points dudes, and they did absolutely nothing for her, unfortunately. Not a ton of points on her bench either. Kenyon Drake down there had a touchdown, or no, not even. He just had 100 yards and 6 catches. So, really nothing of consequence there. Stop me if you want to add anything. These are just kind of like meh games here.
Nope.
We're kind of cruising through them. Not much to say. Let's move on. Talk about JT and Scott here. JT lost 107 to Scott's 137. Scott had a great game from Nick Chubb, who is now on the COVID reserve list, but he could play. They play Sunday, I think, so he's probably going
Yeah.
to play if I had to guess because he is vaccinated. Josh Allen, crappy game there. Again, we talked about that. Buffalo lost 6-9. Thielen, he couldn't really get much done against Baltimore, even though they scored 31 points. Chase Claypool is just talk about disappointing. Like he's had a couple good games, but he's just
Big Ben,
it's
he's
it's
done.
Ben. It's Ben. It's not Claypool. I think Claypool's talented, but it's Ben. Ben can't get the deep ball. Um, Nick Chubb, we talked about that briefly. Great game. Marquise, Hollywood had a good game. Hollywood's been really consistent too. Um,
Yeah.
he's only had two single-digit score weeks this season. Everything else has been actually 19 or higher. He's had 3 games of like basically 19, and then
Yeah.
26, 36, 23. So pretty consistent there from Hollywood. He's got Bateman in there too. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Like it's
Here we
it's
go again.
hard to think. Yeah, the old Raven stack. Like
Yeah.
there's been very few years where you could ever play like one Ravens wide receiver, let alone two Ravens wide receivers. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you like play Bateman with excitement, but the fact of the matter is he keeps getting. He's gotten 6, 6, 8 targets in the 3 games he's played. Like that's pretty decent volume for a wide receiver 3, and he's getting catches, he's making plays, he's getting first downs. Like that's important. I don't know what his snap count is offhand, but I'm sure it's increasing. He's clearly establishing himself as probably the number 2 on the team. Um, at least at the wide receiver position, and he'll probably overtake Sammy Watkins, I'm sure, if he hasn't already. So he had Naheem Hines on his bench, who had a couple of really solid runs in this game. I think I watched part of
Yeah.
it Thursday night. He looked pretty good. 21 points there on his bench. He did not need him to win. JT we'll talk about briefly here. Again, just middling performances. Robert Woods, Hunter Renfro, Javante, Zeke, like they all had okay games, 12 to 17 points. Stafford disappointed. CeeDee Lamb, talk about that. Ooh, no, that's a brutal matchup there. 4 points from CeeDee Lamb. Um, the Cowboys' offense is not what I think people expected this year. I think their defense being better is really hurting their offense because last year before Dak got hurt, they needed Dak to throw the ball nonstop because they were constantly they were just in garbage time from the minute the
Yeah.
game started, right? Because they were down. Now, not so much. I mean, they lost this game, so they were down, and it was really a blowout because they were getting shut out for most of the game. The 16 to 30 score is really closer than the game actually was. Um, but yeah, disappointing from CD here. I'm not sure how many targets he had. Let's see. He had 9 targets. He had 9 targets in this game and only 2 catches. Wow, that's really bad. I don't know if that's him. I don't know if that's Dak. I don't really know. But, 2 catches on 9 targets is terrible. Nobody really of note on their benches here. Allen Robinson had 11 points. That was his highest score of the season. 9 weeks in, 10.8. So good
Yep.
job, Allen Robinson, for beating your season record. David Montgomery back in this game, 10 points. Good to see. So let's move on. Let's talk about Melissa and your matchup. Why don't you take us through your teams? See where the high score here this week.
We had Herbert, with almost 40 points. Love that. Cooper Cup did his thing as usual. Almost 100 yards, 11 catches. Again, they were playing behind the entire game.
Yep.
And then Cordell Patterson, he's been probably one of the best waiver wire pickups of this year, if I
Yeah.
had to guess. I
Yep.
mean, he's been so consistent. Thanks, Ridley dealing with his whatever, who knows what
Mm-hmm.
that is. So he has to fill in as receiver. And then that's really it. I guess, the fact that Mooney got 20 points on my bench was surprising. I turned this game off like
Yeah.
at halftime
It was
because honestly,
boring.
it was so boring.
Yeah.
Feels kind of exciting, but I didn't have anybody in that game, so I really didn't care. And then as for Melissa, I guess Najee was her
Yes.
best player.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, more middling
yeah,
performances there. Yeah, just to talk about some of your guys, I turned off. I watched a little bit of that game last night too, and I was just like, man, this is just a defensive, boring offense, good defense slugfest. It's crappy. I think I read that Justin Fields kind of got it together in the fourth quarter, and actually they made a comeback, and apparently there were some really egregious fouls in this game, like a taunting. Did you see the taunting
yep,
penalty
I did. Just
where he's just staring at the
ridiculous.
bench? and then
Yeah.
and then the referee backs into him, puts his body in the way of the player as he's running back to the bench, and then throws
Yeah.
the flag when the player like taps him basically. That was
I
pretty
think the ref
nonsense.
was suspended.
They should really be doing something about these refs. Like they shouldn't be deciding games like this. Like the Bears could have played better and they could have put this game away early, but you can also make the argument that the refs really cost the game for them. They should have won. If they didn't
Yeah.
have some of those crazy penalties. So there was like missed roughing the passers. There was, the taunting call. There was all kinds of just garbage. Um, so definitely the Steelers were gifted this game, which kind of feels like something that the Steelers would have happen to them. They kind of get
Hmm.
lucky with that crap. Um, yeah, good to see Darnell Mooney go off when you're benched there. I really liked him this season. I've been kind of stashing him in I think the other league, just kind of waiting for some blow up
Yeah.
games. So this was good to see. He only had 3 catches, but he had a touchdown in there. Um,
2. He
oh, he had a
rushed for a
rushing
point.
one. Oh, okay. All right. I was gonna say I was trying to figure out where the points came from. That makes sense. Okay. Oh, good for him. Talking about Cordero Patterson, he's by far the best waiver pickup. I mean, who else would be up there? Nobody. I can't think of a single
Elijah
other.
Mitchell.
Okay,
I guess
actually that's fair.
a couple of games,
I
but
would
no, he's
still say
definitely been the
Cordero's
best.
been better, but yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I guess Elijah Mitchell's probably the next best one. You're right. Um, and then Cooper Cup, yep, he had. Man, it's crazy. Just looking at Cooper Cup's targets for the season. So 9 games played, 10
Yeah.
targets, 11, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13, 9. That was his lowest, and then 13 this week. Like that's that's unbelievable. That's just crazy. Um,
103 targets and only 9 weeks. We still
yeah.
have
Wow.
9 more weeks. Oh, I guess 8 because of bye week. He has
Right.
8 more weeks.
Yeah. Like
Is
if
he on? Is he on pace for almost 200 yards?
200 targets.
Yeah, targets. That's
9 weeks
insane.
in, not quite, but yeah, it would be
Well,
close.
like 180 or something. Like
Yeah, in
that's
that
still
ballpark,
like
which would be a ton of targets. I mean, what Michael Thomas broke the reception record a couple years ago, right? What do you have, 160 or something like that? 150, 160? Do you remember?
150 something. I think. Yeah.
150 something. So he could definitely do that. I mean, he's got 74. Well, actually, he's only got 74 receptions, so
Over a
probably
thousand
not
yards.
going
That's
to. Yeah,
insane.
yeah. He's just having like a monster season. He's so good. Who else did I want to talk about on your team here? There was somebody else. Yeah, Justin Herbert had a great game again. Um, Dalvin Cook had an okay game here. I think didn't Dalvin have like a 90 yards or something against us in like the first quarter, and then
Yeah.
like nothing
Really
the rest of the
did. Yeah.
game.
He
Yeah,
kept stopping him.
and that was when the Vikings were ahead, so they did not run him effectively. But yeah, nobody really worth talking about here on Melissa's side. A lot of middling performances. She had to start Daniel Jones in Kyler Murray's absence. Every time I've had to start Daniel Jones, he does this to me as well. 10 points. Like the
Yep.
weeks you start him, he does nothing. The weeks you don't start him, he's serviceable.
Yep.
And that's just unfortunately how he works. Tyreek Hill, man, 13-7 in this game. Like, what happened to the Chiefs? Like, you
They're
can't blame
broken.
Green Bay too much because they had Jordan Love, right? No Aaron Rodgers. But, like, 13 points from Kansas City. I mean, talk about a team that's just fallen off for effectively no reason. It's just unbelievable.
Yep.
And yeah, you mentioned Najee. The rest, this week was weird. It was just a weird week. There was no
Really
high-scoring
bad.
games. There was no fantasy players with a ton of points. Just very strange. So let's move on. Let's talk about last matchup here. It's Jimmy and Chris. So Jimmy squeaked out a win here, 137 to 107. So about a 30-point differential there. Um, Chris, at
That's
least
the
he
one.
he crossed the 100 mark again. He would have beaten, what do we say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams this week. So you figure like a win is coming for Chris. At some point, he's going to get it. It just unfortunately was not this week, in which Jimmy correctly played Lamar Jackson, who got 42 points. We were talking about this during the game. He tied the record for the most 100-yard rushing games by a quarterback, which is pretty cool. I'm sure he will break that record officially this season at some point, if not next game. Justin Jefferson here, 17 points. Did you see that clip of Justin Jefferson making the tackle? It was a run play by Dalvin, and Justin Jefferson just comes flailing out of nowhere. His arms just swinging wide, just to come make a tackle. I think he ends up getting just basically pushed to the ground like he's made of nothing. But did you see that at
I
all?
did.
Okay, I'll have to find it. It's pretty comical. He looks really goofy, like a cartoon character or something. Khalil Herbert probably droppable with Montgomery back now. He got basically no volume in this game. Not going to really be worth anything. He had 4 carries, so he's pretty much done. He is a handcuff at this point only to Montgomery. Waller had a decent game. Melvin Gordon, we talked about 2 touchdowns. Well, we talked about, I guess, you and me. And nobody really else of note there on Jimmy's side, even though he won. Chris, same thing. Mahomes now for 3 weeks in a row has been a killer. 8 points, 17 points, 12 points. For a guy drafted, what, second round? Let's see.
Yeah.
Second round, third pick, 15th overall. You can't have that happen. What do you do with Kadarius Toney?
Bench him.
Yeah, this after it looked like he was having a bit of a breakout, earlier in the season, he's kind of just fallen off. I feel like once everybody's healthy, and this was with, Sterling Shepard wasn't in this game, and I know Kenny G was back, but just a lot of their weapons were missing, and he still was not involved. Brandon Ayuk finally had a good game. Mixon had another good game. In a big loss to Cleveland. How about this? I think I heard today that like 2 weeks ago, or after they beat us, the Bengals, that is, they were first in the AFC, the Bengals, and now they're last in our division. So they went from first in the AFC to last in the AFC North, which is kind of a big fall
Yeah.
off there. Oh man, so Chris started Albert O there, whose name always sounds right when I hear people say it, but when I read it, I'm like, what? Like, how do you Albert Okowekabanam? How do you say that? What's the proper pronunciation of that
I'm not even
man's
gonna
name?
try. I'm gonna sound
Albert
racist, but try
Owakanabakabam.
like
Waka
that.
Owakabaka Okwagabono. Okay. Um
So many things I want to say, I can't.
it's just, yeah, interesting name. Anyways, he's still got Marlon Mack on his bench. Chris, I know you don't listen to this, but Marlon Mack is most definitely droppable at this point. In the past 2 weeks, he has had 0 carries. He has been a healthy scratch, so not worth a bench spot. I guess there's not really anybody else out there, but I guarantee there's people more valuable than Marlon Mack at this point. So,
At least
um,
playable.
yeah, exactly. People that will at least like start a game or play in a game. So, anyways, okay, let's go back. We're going to talk about our matchups now for
You
week.
see, it says rivalry week. You said it. Wait, why does it say
Oh
that?
yeah. That's a thing. That's a thing. Um,
I never played Scott though.
okay,
Or
so this was the thing. Let me see if I can figure out what this was because it told me what this was earlier on. Rosters and scoring, schedules and playoffs. Edit schedules. I don't really want to edit the schedules, but I want to see if it tells me what the rivalry. Okay. Rivalry week. Week 10 has been selected as a rivalry week. Pair off rival teams for bragging rights. What makes it a rivalry week? I'm going to Google that real quick. Just because it would be kind of interesting to know exactly what the hell that means. Yeah, I don't know. This may have been like a real customizable kind of week where I was supposed to put like rivals against each other, but
it's something you had to do.
I mean it'll assign them randomly, but
I was gonna say, you haven't played Shannon yet, have you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I haven't played Scott yet. I
Yeah,
don't. Yeah, so I don't
I have no
know why it says
idea.
rivalry. I
Yeah,
assume that meant we would have played someone else that we played before,
you would think.
or someone we lost to, maybe. I
Yes,
don't know.
you
Like,
would
I don't.
you would certainly think those things, but I don't have an answer for what that is. Also, I just noticed Shannon has only spent $3 of Fab.
Dude, I actually spent like 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she has only spent 2 as well. That's kind of crazy.
Justin has 0.
Yeah, Justin has $0.
Though
Yeah.
you can trade Fab, can't you?
I don't know if
Or
I have that set up in this
no,
league.
I think Sleeper does. I don't think you have it
I think we
enabled.
can do it in Yahoo, and that's something I would definitely turn on. I'll have to remember to do
It
that
should
next
be a
year.
thing.
Yeah, because you can kind of sweeten the pot on some deals sometimes, kind of help even things out by trading some Fab.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about matchups here. Let's talk about Ashley and Justin's matchup. Week 10 here, 10 weeks in. So she's got Trevor Simeon in her lineup. She's going to get Tom Brady back though this week, so she'll sub him in. Chase
James
Edmonds,
Robinson
yeah,
plays
James
too.
Robinson should play. Chase Edmonds will not. George Kittle, Brandon Cooks goes on by. Zach Moss probably not going to play, right? He was concussed, so it's possible he does, possible he doesn't. But she might have Hopkins back this week too, which would be great. I'm not sure if he's going to play, but if she can get Hopkins back, she'll have a pretty solid lineup. Um, Justin, on the other
Well,
hand, I think.
did you hear that
Oh,
Kamara might be banged up?
oh no, really?
They were testing like 3 running backs today. Apparently, he got banged up in that
Oh,
whoever they played last week. Who did they play? Atlanta. Yeah.
yeah.
Apparently, he got banged up, so he could miss time. I don't know. There's no like official news about it. Just the fact that the Saints are working out like 3 different running backs.
Wow.
They
Okay.
added someone to the practice squad.
Well, see, with Alvin Kamara though, they could really reduce his workload and he would still be valuable. Like
They need him to.
yeah, and it's just like get him involved in the passing game and he'll still be valuable for fantasy, and you'll kind of spare him. And that's kind of what they've always done, right? They generally don't run the wheels off of him. But they got Ingram now, and Ingram has looked pretty decent since he's been
He's
back.
taking some
So
workload. Yeah.
yeah, he's a big dude, big bruiser. Let him get some of those violent carries, and then get Kamara involved in space, and that's where he excels. So I'm not too worried
Yeah.
about that. I'm sure he'll be okay. Looking at Justin's side here, Aaron Rodgers will probably be back. I think I heard the earliest he can come back is Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, so that's the earliest, which
He should clear.
he should. So I would expect him back in this game on Sunday. Why is that game at 125? Do you see that? It's kind of weird. Is that
These are like
usual?
it's supposed to be 4:25. I think they're
Oh,
showing
that's right.
Pacific
That's
time.
right. I forgot. These are 3 hours. Yeah, I forget. It always does that. Okay, Diggs, Evans, great. Aaron Jones, James Conner's going to be great, even though Carolina's kind of a tougher run defense. Gesicki against Baltimore. I mean, we usually light the Dolphins up, but if any player on their team is going to have a good game, it's going to be Mike Gesicki. Um,
Titans just destroy
they
us.
do, all of them. He's actually got a pretty good lineup this week too. I like a lot of his plays. Again, assuming Aaron Rodgers plays against Seattle, that should be a good matchup. Um, boy, I don't know. This is gonna be. I think once they get their lineup set, I think it's gonna be very close. What do you think?
Um, yeah, but I don't love Jarvis. I still don't love James Conner. I know he'll get the workload, but
Yeah, he's
again,
gonna be the
Carolina's
guy
hard.
now.
Yeah, even if he was the guy in Pittsburgh though, he was good when he really scored because he's made of glass.
Yeah,
I still like Ashley's team more.
yeah, that's where I lean this week as well. I think she's just got, you know, uh,
It would be close though.
it will be, it will be. I can't say I pick her with great confidence, but I do lean her way. All right, let's see who's next here. Um, Henry and Jimmy. Talk about them real quick.
Jimmy.
Oh, Jim Boney here. All right, so Henry. Let's see, who's he going to play at quarterback? Joe Burrow's on bye this week.
Someone off
Okay,
waivers.
so somebody off waivers. Okay, good to know. He's got McCaffrey back, which is good. Godwin's in, Higby, Devon Smith, Judy. Who's he got on the bench here? Probably not going to play Gainwell. Probably not going to play Edwards. Probably not going to, definitely not going to play
Nobody.
Hubbard. Yeah, man, he's got a lot of like turds down here still. Oh man, okay. I guess RB2 he's going to have to run with what? Who? Gainwell? Or somebody else?
That or waivers.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who's out on waivers right now worth picking up. Um, so that's rough right there. On Jimmy's side, Lamar against Miami should be fire. I expect Lamar to hit his projected points there. I expect to bounce back from Justin Jefferson. Mike Williams, hopefully he bounce back. I think he's maybe dealing with a bit of an injury. Um, let's talk running backs here for Jimbo. Who's he going to slot in? He's got Khalil Herbert, who's not even really worth a roster spot anymore, but's on bye anyways. Um, he's
Well,
got
you put
nobody
you put
else.
Gordon up there, and then you
Okay,
can
yeah.
flex Julio or
Okay.
somebody.
And I play Miles Gaskin, which is rough, but you got to do what you got to do. So, okay. So he's got his running backs. Waller, he'll play.
Hmm.
Yeah,
They
Julio,
both
you
got
play.
cold.
Yeah, they do. I think I lean Henry here. I think I like some of Jimmy's guys. I like Lamar. I like Justin Jefferson this week, but yeah, I like Darren Waller this week as well. But I don't know. I feel like the rest of
I'll
his
probably go
players are,
Henry.
yeah.
Depends on his quarterback though.
Because with Keenan and Godwin and McCaffrey and Devonta Smith and Judy, like that's it's a lot of talent there, a lot of upside. But yeah, it does depend on his quarterback here. There's some guys out there I'm sure you can pick up. So, all right, let's move on to the next matchup. How did you get to the other Week 10 matchups so quickly? Like, what do you do? Like,
I literally just click the back thing on my mouse, click week 10, and then
okay,
just
so you do the same thing I do. All right,
yeah. I don't like the tabs. It's just a lot to deal
yeah.
with.
All right, so I'm looking at JT and Chris here. All right, let's talk about JT's side. Stafford hopefully has a bounce back week here, although he was actually pretty decent last week. No, he was 17 points. That's right. Bobby Trees, Renfro, Zeke. Let's see who's got on his bench. Anybody's going to slot in. He gets Lockett back. Is Wilson going to play this week? Do we know? He comes off
Yeah,
IR.
he's supposed to be cleared.
Okay.
He already is cleared to play football. I
All
think
right.
he's designated. I would definitely throw in Lockett instead of Van
Oh, for
Jefferson.
sure. For sure. Definitely Lockett over Van Jefferson. CD should have a better game this week against Atlanta.
I mean,
Um,
do
you
we
know,
even talk about this honestly? I think
no,
he
no, we don't. Yeah, we really don't. Chris,
Mixon's gone.
exactly. Some of Chris's best players on by, and by best players I mean Joe Mixon. Um, I wonder if he will keep Albert Oka Okawika
Okoweg Bumyam.
Okawika
Bumyam.
Nagaba
Bumyam.
Osha
Bumyam.
Okabagawaka Shagawa. Yeah. Dawson Knox, is he coming back this week or another week?
I believe so. I think he's supposed to come back
Okay,
this week.
excellent. So he can slot him in over Albert Oka Bottom. All right, move on. Let's talk about the next matchup here, which is Melissa and Kate in the old rivalries week that we don't know what that means. All right, so if this holds true, if Kate loses this week, she should get blown out of the water. Um, and Melissa should hopefully get Kyler Murray back this week. Hopefully a bounce back from Tyreek. Let's see what Tyreek's points have been like lately. He has not been as bad as Patrick as Mahomes lately. Last week he had a pretty solid game, 18 targets. Holy shit, didn't realize that. 2 weeks ago, sorry, not this past week. Najee against Detroit, ooh, that's a nice matchup right there. Josh Jacobs against Kansas City, another nice matchup. Pitts against Dallas, decent matchup. Anybody on her bench she's going to slot in? No, she doesn't have Jamar Chase this week. No, she's probably not going to put in anybody from her bench. Kate side, she's okay. Devin Singletary against the Jets. Again, never expect anything out of him. Sony Michelle. Daryl Henderson got banged up, but I don't remember seeing anything about it being serious. So I don't think Sony
Who?
Michelle's Daryl Henderson.
No, he literally came back in
Yeah.
like next drive or whatever.
So I don't expect much out of Sony. Sony did have I think he had a touchdown. He must have because he had 10 points. So that's about all you're gonna get out of Sony potentially is a touchdown maybe. Yeah, I mean we don't need to spend a lot of time on this game, right? I mean Melissa's gonna take the win. There's pretty much no question about that. Look how many Giants players she has: Devontae Booker, Barkley, Galladay. I guess it's only 3, but it kind of feels like a lot, right, for a crappy team.
Yeah.
She will get Russell Wilson back against Green Bay, so she can drop Derek Carr, even though Derek Carr has a pretty good matchup against Kansas City. But all right, moving on here. I think we're on to your matchup. Yep. You against Scott. Oh man, yeah. Look at your projected points. Holy poop.
They were higher the day I sent you the photo.
Yeah. What happened there? It was 160. Why is it lower?
I don't know. It should be higher. I took out. I don't know. It's a good question.
Well,
Either way,
pretty good matchups. On your side here, Dalvin against the Chargers. They have a terrible run defense. Cordero should be fine. I don't love AJ Brown against New Orleans, but I'm sure that'll be okay. Cooper Kupp, never worried about him. Justin Herbert against Minnesota is a good matchup. Terry McLaurin against Tampa Bay is a good matchup. You can throw against Tampa. So a lot of good matchups on your side, a lot of high ceiling guys. On Scott's side, Josh Allen, Thielen, Metcalf. Metcalf with Wilson back is kind of scary, especially against Green Bay, so he could blow up. I don't like Elijah Mitchell against the Rams, but you never know. Chubb against the Patriots, not a great matchup. Assuming he plays, but he probably will play since he's vaccinated. Not too concerned there.
Let's hope he doesn't.
Yeah. Hollywood and Bateman, don't expect much out of Bateman, but I'm sure Hollywood will have another great game there. Looking at the benches, I don't think I would do anything else with these. He unfortunately loses Montgomery to a bye because that would have been a good play over Bateman, but he does not have that luxury this week. And then your team is firing pretty much on all cylinders this week, so nothing lost there on your bench. So definitely lean your team here. I think you get the win pretty easily unless he has some blowups from Metcalf or Chubb or Hollywood or any of those guys. Or Josh Allen even. Josh Allen after a
Definitely
crappy week against the Jags, he could blow up. So we shall see. Anything else you want to add about your matchup?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I think my matchup's last. Oh man, I have to play
Yeah.
Shannon. Freak.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't think I have any major players on bye this week, so that's at least an advantage to me. Except for Ridley, who's just removed himself from the sport of football. But that's okay. I got Swift back. I got Hawkinson back this week. Zero Henderson. My team's mostly firing on all cylinders as well, except I have to have Michael Carter in my lineup because I have nobody else really, unless I want to flex Pat Fryermuth.
Maybe I can put a
Um,
once instead of Tannehill.
um, Against Jacksonville, yeah, I probably will, and this will be the week where that doesn't work for me. But I think I will do that. And again, the only other question for me is whether I play Michael Carter or not, because Michael Carter against Buffalo is not a good matchup, whereas Pat Fryermuth against Detroit is. And he just had a 2 touchdown game, so Ben likes him, middle of the field guy.
Hopefully,
Um,
Ebron doesn't play.
yeah, that's the only concern, but we'll see. I might I might make a couple waiver moves. We'll see. Looking at Shannon's team here, she's got Dak, she's got Debo, Devontae, Eckler. If those guys are, I'm sure they're going to be back to form. Um, really, only person she loses is T. Higgins, but she can just slot in Leonard Fournette.
Fournette.
Yeah, and she'll be fine. So I don't honestly know which way I lean here. I like my team this week, but her team's obviously been a powerhouse all season. So, um, as someone unbiased, who do you lean here?
Um, and you both have players that are insane with upside. I probably lean yours. Yeah. Mm, yeah.
It's another one of these weeks where I'm expecting Jonathan Taylor to carry my team, right? Like playing against the
Yeah, that's
Jags.
what we need is
Yeah.
him to. Though Debo's not fully healthy, and he's
Yeah.
playing to get Ramsey, so
Yep, that is true.
I'll probably go your team.
Yeah, I might lean my way slightly. We'll see. It's going to be probably a close game, hopefully. Hopefully neither one of us gets blown out. Actually, she can get blown out. I'm fine with that. All right. So that is it
Right.
for our Week 10 preview. Covers all the games here for the week. Man, hopefully it's a more exciting fantasy week than Week 9 because man, that was boring.
So real quick,
Mm-hmm.
I looked up on Reddit the rivalry week thingy. So apparently, you can you can decide what it's supposed to be. Like apparently, you can either do I'm not sure. Did you set for week 10 or was it automated?
Yeah, it was just automatic.
So people have been talking about how they'll save it for the last week of the whatever. And some people said they've done to where you set for certain people to verse each other. Maybe they've been talking smack all year or stuff like that. Some people do the week people who you verse in week 1, you'll do them again. It's just something for you to decide. Just
Okay.
I guess maybe have fun with it or something. I
Right.
don't know.
Dealer's choice. Okay. Interesting. That's interesting. So it didn't really need to be a rivalry week then because we're not really doing anything special. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't really think of any thing that would apply to our league there. We don't really have
You
rivalries in
could
this
do
league.
the first and second versus each other, the third and fourth, fifth and sixth,
Okay.
seventh, eighth,
Yeah,
and
that's
all
not a bad
that.
idea. That would make some sense.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a bunch of things that these people are that they did. So it's fun.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay then. Well, okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap up this week's video here, and we will be back next week to recap, hopefully, a more exciting week of fantasy. So, in the meantime, peace, y'all. Good luck.
Good night.
Bye bye.